Want to bet?
Yes,
Wanna?
that meant yes. Yeah.
Listen,
Less threatening.
You can do it at Sports Interaction. It's Canada's sportsbook. Football is in full swing. Baseball playoffs.
Still going for
Not
us.
for the
us.
Jays.
No.
Thank you, Jesse.
The hockey season, which starts this week, is fabulous as well. We got a ton of props that we're going over with David Bassel, but you can bet pregame, you can bet live and play, or one of the many prop bets, which we've brought up before on the show. Made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction makes it easy for you to deposit, to play, and to cash out. Join now and see all that sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/STPN. That is sportsinteraction.com/STPN. Thank you. Ontario only, 18 plus. Please play responsibly. It's a very leafy thing for them to tie it up with a minute 50 to go, and then Jake Muzzin to just dump an absolute pizza right up the center of the ice as though he's never played defense before.
But it's okay. Justin Hall drops into the butterfly like he's never played defense before. And Matt Murray jumps the wrong way like a soccer goalie because he can't see the friggin' thing.
Well, he's also never played goalie before.
And
That's really, I don't blame him for that goal. I really don't.
yeah.
That should never have happened. We had possession of the puck. Stop it down, look around, make a decision, but not that decision.
Both he and Samsonov, I would say, allowed at least one goal each.
That they shouldn't have.
That they shouldn't have. Did you see the Luke Fox stat from last night?
Which one?
The high danger scoring chances in the first period were 11-0 for Toronto. The score was 2-1 Washington.
Wow. Wow.
But for the Montreal game, like it was Muzzin and Hall had a bad game overall.
They were shocking.
1
Yeah,
through
it was-
3 periods, they were awful.
And the top line. I'm not letting them off the hook.
No. But let's start with Muzzin and Hall here.
Let's focus
Yeah.
on.
Because every time I bring something up, you guys, and what about this? And I'm like,
Well,
can
and
we
then-
just focus on the thing for a second?
Well, I'm in mid-season form, which is derailing everything.
Justin Hall, like everybody who criticized him throughout the playoffs, like that was their like celebration moment. They're like, look,
I didn't do that. Do you notice? Did I do anything?
I did not do that.
I didn't do that. I don't celebrate. I don't want him to. I don't want to celebrate Justin Hall not doing well.
The anti-Hall hive. No, I want him to be great.
I want him to be Norris caliber. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hell
him.
yeah.
But
I want him to be the guy.
I'm realistic about it.
I wish, like, if you could just get one version of one player on this team to make them a cup caliber team, do we get 4-goal Austin Matthews? No. Do we get like spinorama past Mitch Marner? No. We get Justin Hall for those 3 consecutive games against Edmonton during the bubble year. And they win the cup in 4 sweeps.
Yep.
A sweep of sweeps.
Yep. No question.
but I think Justin Hall is going to be fine in the end.
Oh yeah, and
It was
I think
one bad game.
So one thing that I noticed with the Leafs, and a few people pointed this out too, is that they were very aggressive from the defensive, like the defense. Like Muzzin had a breakaway
First game or
first game.
Montreal.
Muzzin, man, if you see him at the face-off dot or lower, he's shooting. And I can't help but wonder if they had a more mobile guy in his spot,
Yeah.
if they'd be able to generate more.
And again, we're saying this about the Montreal game and the Montreal game alone because I'm aware that Hall and Muzzin had a good game last night, obviously, because it was a bit of a redemption arc for them. And it's the first game versus the second game, and I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
But I think at a certain point, we are probably going to have the discussion, not yet, about Jake Muzzin and maybe that it isn't his fault that he's not performing at the same level that he was 3 years ago. He's had some pretty heinous injuries, and the Leafs keep putting him out there like he's the player that he was in 2020 and 2019.
Well, and it didn't instill confidence that before this season, when he missed some time, no, I don't have a back injury. I just have chronic back issues. And I'm like,
Oh man,
that's a problem.
that's not
that's
and like,
hard.
Listen, players need a lot of maintenance, and I've heard rumors over the years of this player requires a lot of maintenance, that player requires a lot of maintenance. That this player was like, he could barely walk between playoff games. He'd go to the chiropractor, and then he's fine, and then he's able to get out there. And every player has their thing to get through. But you know what I was thinking last night when they were losing, because I think grumpy thoughts when the Leafs are losing, and I think honest thoughts. And sometimes they conflict, but CJ sat right there. And he was talking about the tough decisions the Leafs might have to make this offseason, as in this offseason.
This previous summer.
And he talked about the tough decisions they're going to have to make. And they didn't make friggin' one of them.
That's a good point.
They didn't make one of them. And the big one was supposed to be Muzzin, and they didn't pull the trigger on it. They could have. So they better figure it out with him, because
They've made the decision that they have to figure it out with him.
they've made the decision that, like, what is his trade value going to be higher this offseason?
No.
You know, I was thinking, like, okay, what if Sandin has this, big coming out party and he has this great season and it pushes Hall down the lineup. And then imagine you have, like, you have Riley Brody, a much improved Sandin, Liljegren gets healthy, and then you can have, like, Muzzin Giordano.
Oh, I love that. Delicious.
Something like that. That could work. But if Muzzin, I want to see Sandin promoted, not Muzzin demoted. And I hope the Leafs didn't make the wrong decision in keeping this guy.
Absolutely. And it's fair to ask the question, but we can't come to any conclusions on that. We're going to know probably 40, 50 games in.
Yeah. You're also paying Muzzin too much to be your third pairing defenseman.
You are, but
Yeah.
you may not have given yourself the choice. I think they knew that
$5.6 million.
the back half of that deal was always going to kind of suck.
That's the Summers problem. That's the Summers problem. Mid-season, if it's a great third pair, I don't care.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Come summer, yeah, no, absolutely. That's way too much money. November, December, January, I don't give a shit. Win games.
So we've said all that to say this. Versus Washington, Muzzin and Hall owned over 70% of the game's 5-on-5 expected goals when they were on the ice.
Hooray.
So we've seen the duality of what they can do.
Yeah.
And you can say, hey, the excuse is it's game one. And Montreal almost lulled them to sleep with that opener. I think at the end of the day, we don't know. And that was a stat Kevin Papetti collected, by the way, with the Athletic. Just throwing that out there. But it's one of those things that I'll be keeping an eye on. I think you gotta watch that. If you're looking at a very good team, and we said this in some of the previews, it's like you're looking at a very good team, instead of looking for reasons why they will win, sometimes you're almost looking for reasons why they won't. What could go wrong? Almost, right? Because this is a very good team.
Mm-hmm. I think game one can be summarized this simply. The Leafs played good hockey bad, and the Habs played bad hockey good. The Leafs were sloppy and all over the place and not connecting passes, and they weren't getting shots through, and they weren't creative, and they weren't executing. The Montreal Canadiens played Randy Carlyle hockey to a T.
And nailed it.
They got in front of everything, and their penalty kill got in front of everything. They were forcing shots to the outside, and Jake Allen was big when he had to be.
Mm-hmm.
And every now and then, odd man rush is going to squeak the other way, and you better have shooters who can finish, and they do. The Habs won game one the way they're going to have to win every game.
I would have liked to see Matt Murray make a save or two.
I agree.
A couple more. Yeah.
It was a bit of a Jack Campbell-y game because you're like, okay, well, that goal against sucked, but he also had this save, which was actually very good.
The one off the line too was amazing.
Timely, yeah. So I'm not going to judge him too much based on that, but what's John Tortorella's quote from when he had? I think it was. What was it, John Graham as a starting goalie?
Huh.
After riding Nikolai Habibulin to a Stanley Cup, it'd be nice to get a goddamn occasional save. And I think back to, and it's another early season game, I think back to that 7-6 overtime catastrophe in Chicago where the Leafs eventually won. But after Matthews does the ear thing, Chicago ties it on their next shot. And it's like, Garrett, like, I don't care what the defense did in front of you. Like, yeah, did they help you out? Did they put you in a position to succeed? Maybe they didn't.
Are they thin ultimately, maybe?
I need a damn save.
Yeah.
I need a damn save there.
Garrett
Sparks was in that.
He was in that game?
Yeah, that was his first game of the season. Hell of a precedent to set.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Oh, I did. It definitely wasn't Freddie. It was, that was Sparks, and, hell of a, it's an unfortunate debut for Murray. But I want to say this, because Samsonov allowed I know there was 0 high danger chances in the first. I think the first one, borderline. The second one was shit. That was a terrible goal.
But then after that second goal, he doesn't allow a goal.
Right. And I think that's very important. And Leafs fans can maybe take a lesson from Oilers fans. Because I don't know if you caught the Oilers' first game of the season against the Canucks. Jack Campbell allowed 2 goals in his first 4 shots, and they were down 3-0. How did that game end? The Oilers stormed back. Jack Campbell laid a hit. That's all anybody remembers. All anybody remembers is a cool moment from Jack Campbell. McDavid had a hat trick.
Oilers win.
Yeah, and the Oilers won. Samsonov shut the door after a shitty first period, and the Leafs won. What else do you want? So if we're going to be accused of going too hard on them in one direction, I think if you give the Leafs some grace, hey, they won.
Absolutely.
They won,
Absolutely.
and this goalie won.
Yeah, and I liked how transparent he was post-game because he gave an interview. I think he was just talking to Scrum, and he was like, I was nervous at the beginning, and after that second goal, I was like, oh, I need to get everything together.
I have the quote.
Sure.
You're nervous, your reaction is slow, you're moving bad. Does that sum it up any better than that? You're moving bad.
English is heartwarming.
It is.
And
Thank you, defense. Thank you,
do you
fans.
have the rest of it? Or he talks about...
You said it was a lot of emotion, that part?
Yeah, where he talks about the second goal, and then he's like, after
I don't
that
have
goal,
the rest of that, sorry.
So, yeah, after that second goal, he says, I needed to change a few things. And then after that, there was no more goals.
That's great.
It was very good. It was like, I was very happy with his performance, even though that second goal was bad. Shut the door after.
Tavares has started the season with a goal and 2 assists.
Looking really good. Looking really good. Willie, too.
Is it KO redemption this year?
Even
though he was a point-a-game player last year, apparently he was bad.
I
don't know. Come on.
We're all forgetting about the driver of all this, and that's Dennis Malgin. It's Dennis Malgin, driving it all. And thank goodness, because the Leafs could be deep into 0-2 territory if that second line isn't as good as it is. That top line struggled.
Second game was better.
Second game was better. They were there.
It was better, but they allowed...
Bunting was a bit of a passenger last night, but...
Bunting got benched at the end of the first one.
Yeah. He's having a tough start.
He has.
Yeah. He's having a bit, even though he scored the first goal.
It's that 8-year contract he's waiting on. No, I'm kidding. That's a little unfair.
No, but
I was joking.
He was out of position on the Hathaway one, and it's a half measure, right? If you're going to go after a guy for hitting your team's best player, confetti gloves. Whew! Stop in the play immediately. Grab the guy, pinata him, do whatever you got to do. Don't miss the hit and have it lead to a goal.
Yep.
Which is exactly what happened.
It's a stinger.
I think it was Haley Salvian, speaking of the first line there and the top line struggling, in her report cards for Monday or the first game, Wednesday, she wrote that Austin Matthews' bar is domination. The bar he set is you're going to take over the game occasionally and score a crazy goal and you're going to look dominant. And he wasn't that.
No.
So that's a failure on Austin Matthews' part when that's the bar of what we expect for the reigning Hart Trophy winner to be dominant in every single game.
But that's what he was in the third.
Game-winning goal, baby.
Yeah, I've said this for years about this Leafs team. Help is not on the way. And after the first period... guys are taking runs at Austin Matthews. Do they call up Wayne Simmons? And I'm like, Jesus Lord. Help is not on the way. It's not coming. Put up your hands and fight. Fight for your life. Stick up for yourself.
Party.
And Matthews runs over a guy. Because, I love when he remembers he's 6'3", 220.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It is kind of fun when he throws it. Absolutely.
Yes. And if that's the precedent that he's going to set for the rest of the season, hell yeah. And if you're a Leaf on the bench, don't you feel like a bit of a putz if you're not doing the exact same thing?
Yes, you do. If Matthews is having to do it, yes, you do.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, and listen,
this guy scored 60 goals last year, and he's our resident guy trucker.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to be better.
I also think that there's we saw it in the Montreal game, but there's a tendency when the Leafs do get a little heated of being like, I'm going to slash you and take a dumb penalty.
Yep.
And
Holy
so,
shit, they've
and you're
taken
right.
too
So when you, if you are going to confetti gloves, make sure like do
Commit.
it like you mean it or
Yeah.
don't do it.
Yeah, commit.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the penalties.
Oh,
At one point,
penalties
it
were
was
bad.
4 straight.
Yeah.
Right? Against the Leafs.
You're just not going
to end the game.
It was fucking ridiculous.
Three
Why-
straight in the third.
How many penalties over 2 games? 9?
Yeah, the Leafs have got to be
Might
like
be
that
even
first
more.
one. The first one against Montreal with Giordano. I'm like, come on, Mark.
Right.
Like-
Yeah,
Like that
was,
is clearly a penalty every day in the NHL.
It was. I look at that as less of a dumb penalty and more of either a bad read or poor positioning, because he took a penalty that basically saved the Leafs from a very advantageous odd man rush, maybe even a breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
So the mistake was made before the penalty, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like some of those were fucking bad.
They are bad, and the Leafs are the kings of bad penalties. They do take stupid effing penalties.
Yeah,
They do. Like I
The
don't.
Muzzin one I thought was a little.
Yeah, and you tweeted something out that I loved. I forget which game it was, but you're like, every time they call a pick, you think of, or they don't call a pick, you think of Justin Hall in the playoffs last year.
That was Arbor Jacki on Alex Kerfoot. And you know, I had a little bit of pushback against it, but now I can't help but notice every single one. And you notice how often it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And like, is it or isn't it a thing? Well, this one led to a goal. That's not how it works.
Is it or is it a
That's
thing? Yeah.
not how it works.
Yeah. Yep.
9 penalties in 2 games.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's bad.